is GCB with On the Brink Games, bringing you a modern deck tech. And the deck I am going to be going over is Tainted Strike Combo. This is a combo deck using creatures like Niv Magus Elemental, Kiln Fiend, Monastery Swift Spear, and another creature, Death's Shadow. So the whole point of this deck is doing as much damage as fast as possible. You do this by losing a bunch of life and playing Death's Shadow, which is a 13/13 for 1 black mana as soon as possible. You can as early as turn 2 Death's Shadow. It won't be huge, but pretty soon after you can make it giant and win the game. I'll just go over a couple cards in the deck. Since I started with creatures, I'll just go over the creatures again. I kind of touched on Death's Shadow just a second ago. It's just a total value creature, and with all the Phyrexian mana spells you have in this deck, losing life is pretty easy, and you're able to play it without any problems. So I'm just moving over all of the Phyrexian mana spells. So Death's Shadow can come out as early as turn 2, because you can just go Bloodstained Mire, sacrifice, lose 3 life. You can go ahead and Gitaxian Probe or Gut Shot your opponent, and then also Thoughtseize, and then play Death's Shadow. I think you can actually turn 1 it. Yeah, you can probably turn 1 it actually. And then the all-star of the deck is Niv Magus Elemental. This card reads: you can exile an instant or sorcery spell you control, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Niv Magus Elemental. Alright, so with all these free spells you're casting with Phyrexian mana, you can just go ahead and remove those spells, give Niv Magus Elemental 2 +2/+2 counters, and just attack easily. And you can do that all in one turn. If you just have land, Niv Magus Elemental, and like probes and Mutagenic, it's huge. It'll be huge on your next turn. And then Monastery Swift Spears, it has haste prowess with all these free spells you're casting. It's pretty easy to go ahead and make Swift Spear giant. Kiln Fiend, also, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gets +3/+0 until end of turn. So with all the spells you have in this deck and playing Kiln Fiend can pretty much easily be a turn 3 kill. So those are all the creatures. Let's go over to all the free spells I was talking about. We start off with 3 Gut Shots. Gut Shot is well positioned right now, considering all the Collected Company decks and all the Mana Excel decks. Jund and stuff, they all play Birds of Paradise for the most part. So, and Infect, if Tron is good, then Infect is good. And if Infect is running rampant, then Gut Shot becomes even better, because not a lot of people play around it. I have 3 Apostles' Blessings. This is just another protection spell to save all my creatures, because I only run 13. So having a protection spell and also pretty much an unblockable against most decks is pretty insane. Very well positioned. Also, going forward and look at Gitaxian Probe. Gitaxian Probe is just a draw spell and also gives great information where with this I can tell what my opponent has. I can play around certain cards that they have. Obviously they're going to draw some more, so I can't play around everything, but it really makes me able to pick my line of play and able to end games quickly if I know their exact hand. 4 Mutagenic Growth, because this card just gives +2/+2, pumps my team, makes Tainted Strike just a lot better, and it can save all my team from Pyroclasm, and some of my creatures will also be saved by Anger of the Gods. I'm running 1 Dismember. This is good against just creature decks and also Splinter Twin. It can save me from them comboing off because they don't expect it, and then I can just win the game. I also play 4 Thoughtseizes. This is great against control and combo decks. It's my only line of defense against them, and it loses me life, so I can play Death's Shadow quicker. Here we go to Tainted Strike, which is the key component of the deck. It gives a target creature +1/+0 and infect until end of turn. With all of my creatures getting bigger off of me playing spells, I can win with Tainted Strike on turn 2, and sometimes it's more of a turn 3 deck, but I can turn 2. And I go to the Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolts, I you'll see myself bolt myself a lot to play Death Shadow quicker, but I do weigh the odds. I do check to see if, well, is that 3 damage worth me killing my opponent? It's depending on if I'm on the inflect plan or the damage plan. And then we go over to Ground Rift. Ground Rift is a great card because it clears the way for my one creature to get through. Maybe they have 2 blockers. They think they're safe because it's 2 blockers of different colors, so they are playing around Apostle's Blessing. Well, if I just play a free Phyrexian mana spell and get that storm counter off and play Ground Rift, then I can go ahead and target those 2 creatures and just get in there for damage and most likely win the game. Also, Ground Rift and storm counters work great with Niv Magus Elemental because I can exile all the storm counters to give him +2/+2. I can be very explosive with a turn 1 Niv Magus Elemental into a turn 2 Ground Rift after I've played some Phyrexian mana spells. I can get my Niv Magus Elemental to astonishing amounts of +1/+1 counters. And then I go over to the last 2 cards, which is Assault Strobe. It just gives double strike at sorcery speed. This card I can also play Temur Battle Rage. I have not played it yet, but I'm sure it might be better because it's an instant spell. Considering it only runs 16 lands in this deck, adding another 2 mana spell might be a little difficult. Kiln Fiend is my only 2 mana spell in the deck right now, so if I want to play him, I might actually try the 2 double strike, and it also gives trample, which can come up, so playing Temur Battle Rage might be a little better. Let's go over to my sideboard. My sideboard is only 13 cards right now, which is a mistake. I should probably have 2 more Young Pyromancers in the deck, and Young Pyromancers come in against the grindy matchups where all my free spells will just generate me more value and everything. Pyroclasms for aggro decks, mono red, affinity, etc. I can bring these in. Most of my creatures will survive, like my Swiftspear survive from Pyroclasm, my Niv Magus Elemental should survive, my Kiln Fiend dies, and my Death Shadow should survive. So Kiln Fiend's the only one that will die to a Pyroclasm. Shattering Sprees for the Infect and just Artifact matchup. Rakdos Charm is for affinity and any graveyard decks. Also, it can be a Silver Bullet against Twin because they can make. I'll just sit there and be like, all right, make your tokens, do you. It's better in real life, but because they'll go, oh, I make infinite, and I go, okay, do infinite damage back to you. But we'll see. And then in Dismember is for Splinter Twin and just creature decks I can't deal with. Duress and Inquisition or Kozilok are in here for the control matchups and other grindy matchups. Also, I like to replace my Thoughtseizes against super aggressive decks like Affinity. I like to replace them with Duress and Inquisition, just because it saves me some life that Thoughtseize will make me lose. You know, I do want to lose a lot of life, but sometimes losing too much life can put me in a very poor situation where I cannot win the game any longer. And then 1 Apostle's Blessing. This is just a force through damage, good against affinity, good against creature decks that clog up the ground like Soul Sisters, etc. And that is the deck tech for Infect combo. Thanks for watching, everyone. This is GCB with On the Brink Games signing off.